Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments that people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are a comedian, a composer, a writer, Lou Wall.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming on to my stinky little hotel room, Lou.
God, thank you for having me. I feel right at home.
Good. I have also, for all the beautiful perverts listening, recorded a couple of these in this hotel room now, and I do feel
infamous.
I've done nothing but complain about it as well, so I promise the ones after this, or maybe before it, I don't know when this is all getting released.
It's better than like my single room in my share house. Like,
oh, is it?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. I like when you start looking closer, I feel like it's one of those ones where you're like, oh, this isn't too bad, but then you look close and there's mold behind the sink and the bathroom leaks.
I'll just take my glasses off and
that'd be perfect. Yeah. I should take my contact lenses out. That'd be a much better idea. I've also sort of started off this show now with compliments because, as I was saying to you just before the podcast as well, I get so many people on that I really genuinely admire their work, and then I'm like, hey, talk about the worst parts in your career exclusively. So I wanted to say, well, I mean, first
in the
off,
worst lighting possible.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then I expect all of my beautiful listeners to go and follow you and go and see all your shows and stuff like that. But you've had such a busy little year, first off. So you've been travelling around. Well, you did Edinburgh Fringe, right? And then did you do Soho Theatre?
I did.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it was so lit. I had the best. Soho, it was insane.
Is that your first time? In Soho Theatre, but in Soho in general?
Yeah.
Soho's something else, right?
I was saying, so Soho Theatre is like a beautiful little hub of like comedy cabaret theatre for those listening. So for me, I was like, it was literally perfect. Like I felt like I could do a shit on stage and people would be like, that's art. You know what I mean?
Like that people do that genuinely. And I'm not talking about like shitting yourself in a metaphorical sense. I mean actually taking a shit.
No, they were so up for anything. They were just the best audiences. And in a way I was like, oh, I don't even have to work.
Yeah.
And I did my Soho run after Edinburgh. And Edinburgh, like obviously, you know,
oh, what a fucking time.
Like you're slogging it. So going there was like the perfect little cherry on top of like
nice
UK experience.
You're not standing on the Royal Mile every single day.
Oh my God.
Like, trying to hand your flyers to so many American tourists who are just like...
the most humbling experience in the world.
Did you flyer in Edinburgh?
I did.
What a fucking time,
every day.
Huh? Yeah.
It was so humbling, but also like it really works.
Yeah, it does,
there.
doesn't
like,
it?
And like there's nothing like, you know, having sold like 10 tickets and then walking out on stage and seeing 30 people there and seeing people who you flyed like 20 minutes before.
And people will stop and talk to you.
100%.
And in Melbourne. You're from Melbourne originally? Or
I'm
you were
from
there
country New South Wales, but
Yeah.
I've been living in Melbourne for the last like kind of 9 years and then I just moved to Sydney.
Yeah. Were you flyering for Melbourne, like International Comedy Festival and stuff like that during that time?
Once.
Okay.
For comedy festival, 1 year. So like when I did my very first ever show, I was flyering, and I think maybe the second year as well. But then during the pandemic, they banned flyering.
Yeah, of course.
And it kind of never really came back.
No, I feel like before the pandemic, it wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't
the number
as
of people
big a
that
thing,
head down, like sprinting past you just so you don't even try and interact with them.
Truly.
Whereas Edinburgh, there's so many people who are like, who are you then?
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I had one guy just be like, fuck off. And
lovely.
For some reason, I was like, it was like my second day flying. Instead of like fucking off, I was like, would you rather see a comedy show? And I was like, oh, I gotta get out of here.
I don't think this guy's coming regardless.
I know. I was
I'm
like,
not going to try and win him over.
Would I choose him as my target? And then I had this other guy come up and be like, is there nudity in the show? And for some reason, I was like, I have the most innocent brain. I was like, oh, no, there's no nudity. Like, if you want to bring your kids, like, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, there's no nudity, handed me my flyer back and then walked off. And I was like, oh.
He wasn't asking in a polite way. He was being a pervert.
I was like, fucking hell. Like,
I feel so sorry for whoever show he found as well.
Truly. But also I'm like, take his money.
I know, right? That's it. There's like,
shake your tits, take his money, fuck off.
I've done nudity in theatre and I was like, maybe that's the only way to sell theatre tickets anymore, especially independent theatre.
I mean, circus pops off for a reason.
I know, right? You get all those absolute creeps who go and see it, but
like,
they fucking love it.
Truly.
And, like, swear to God, I've seen so much circus. I've got so many friends that do circus as well. And I'm like, they sell way more tickets than I could ever sell to a theatre show.
Truly. Like, tits and tassels, baby.
I know, right? A sick little backflip and like a cock flying around the place.
Creeps have money.
They do, don't they? And they will spend it on those specific creepy things
and you're like,
as well.
You know what, that's fine, go for it.
Yeah, I know, right? And you're like, you're supporting the arts.
Exactly.
In a weird way, but as long as you're doing it in the safe confines of what like they're doing as well.
Exactly.
Fucking go for it. Drop $35 for a ticket.
Yeah.
But you've been back in Australia for what, like a month or a bit now?
Yeah, just over a month now. Yeah.
Are you settling back in now? Are you
I'm
missing
like,
being on the road for so fucking long?
in my biggest slump era possible. Like
Yeah.
and everyone said this, they're like, oh, you know, because like you'll have the post-festival calm down, like blah, blah. And I was like, oh, maybe I won't. Like I'll be fine. And then I came back to Australia and I was like, oh my God, I'm so depressed.
Nobody thinks they're going to get the post-festival
Oh my
slump.
God.
And for people listening as well, like you are on shows or on stage every single night during
Every single
festivals.
night.
And like,
You're
people are so
surrounded by
excited to
everyone
see
you know,
such
all
like-minded
friends.
people,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, we're all going to go out here afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you come home and you're like, oh, this is my regular life. This fucking sucks.
This sucks. Get me back. And
Yeah.
you've, you know, probably been drinking for a month straight. And so there's
Oh, for
all
sure.
those like kind of things as well.
And
But I did my
especially-
first gig back last night.
Oh,
and I was
sick.
like, so that was like lovely to be like, oh yes, okay, great.
Ease
We're
yourself
back in the
in.
swing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always find as well whenever you're on, or especially in Edinburgh Fringe,
Yeah.
there's nothing but fried food as well. I prefer, like, I lived in Edinburgh and performed there, and I was like, I
Yeah.
can't even find a fucking decent meal here, and I live here.
Truly.
So, like, if people are over there traveling, you're like, oh, great, I'll just have a deep fried, I don't know, kebab every
I
single
knew
night.
it was getting
Fantastic.
bad when the people at the crepe stand like started knowing my order, and it was like
so
this,
many crepe stands in
oh
the
my
Edinburgh
God.
Fringe as well.
It was like the first week, and I was like, this is devastating. Like,
I mean, crepes, I mean, they're not the healthiest thing in
yeah,
the world, but
I
it's
was
better
getting a
than
Nutella crepe. Like, it's
okay. Oh, okay then.
I
well.
ain't going spinach and mushroom. Like,
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't. Did you ever visit? I think it's called Picante's there.
oh no, I didn't.
Oh, it's the nightclub fish and chip shop.
Oh my God.
So they have like a
Wait,
DJ
maybe I
in
did and
there.
I just blacked out.
I think a lot of people are blacked out when they visit it, so it
Truly,
might be.
yeah.
But at least you weren't frequenting there all the time.
True.
Very fun place to go. Do not eat there more than once in a festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. The grease sounds like it would.
Oh, it's the grease, and then they serve alcohol, and they have like.
Oh,
on
that's kind of
weekends-
fun.
Well, you say it's fun, but then if you ever go there more than once a week or once in a lifetime, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what am I doing with my life? I would literally feel like sweat or maybe grease coming out of me
Yeah.
in Scotland, which like it's pretty hard to get warm in Scotland. So you're like, something's not going right
Yeah.
here. My life's falling apart. Middle of the festival as well.
It's
you're
a
just
good
like,
it's a good like red flag to be like your life is going downhill.
yeah, exactly.
Sort
right.
it out.
You can check, you can track it exactly.
Yeah.
Your phone memories when you have photos of the canties.
Your bank statements for Canties, you're like, all right, I got to pull it back in.
Oh, fuck, I even had breakfast there. I didn't even know they did that. But yes, so everything's been going well as well with the show. Was that Luol versus the internet?
Yeah, that was that show, yeah.
Sick. So are you remounting that at any point as well?
I don't think so. I think I'm done.
Sick,
I'm like
alright.
onto my
Well,
show
if
for
you
next
missed out,
year.
fuck you. Then how about
Actually,
that?
I might do one more in Sydney.
Okay, well, I
but
heard
we'll see.
nothing but good things about it from people, so
Oh, thank
everyone should go
you.
and check that out.
It was a fun one.
And that's our compliments out the way now, so I feel like we should move
Get
into all the horrible
roast
stuff.
me. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
So I don't know how many episodes you've listened to before, but the way I usually like to structure it is like I like to leave the most salacious or the worst stories to the end, so all these beautiful perverts keep like listening until the end. I don't know if you've come in with any ideas of how you want to tell them, or like if you've got any ones that group together quite nicely. I always find the nudity ones group together nicely, but not saying that you have any. We've had a lot of circus performers, so that's the only reason I mentioned that.
Yeah.
The aforementioned circus performers. Did you have any ones that you wanted to start off with?
I'll start off with the only one that is the ones that is like at the top of my head because we've been talking
nice.
about Edinburgh. I don't know if they're like particularly that. I think my embarrassing ones are like less funny, but I'll spill them
That's
anyway.
okay. They don't, I always say I like about 50% funny and then 50% like life-alteringly sad.
Like, okay,
And as
great,
long as
great,
it's that
great.
kind of like equal scale, I find
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice balance.
Because so what's the problem? They have to be embarrassing.
Embarrassing, awkward stories. I mean, like, you've worked on a fair few sets yourself. And
Yeah.
for performers, all we do is sit around and do fuck all for the most part.
Truly.
And so many of the times you're like, oh, this one thing happened to me on this set and that kind of stuff. And then we all chat about it and then
Yeah.
it's just never put out there.
It's never out.
And I
Yeah.
was like, I'll steal this idea for a little podcast. So I thought it'd be like,
That's
it's just,
great,
you
yeah.
know, nice, fun, cathartic, especially
Yeah.
people coming up in the industry, I find as well. I'm like, yeah, it's not glamorous. I don't know.
No, it's so not glamorous.
I'm yet to get Brad Pitt on, but like, I don't know at his
he's
level,
coming.
maybe. Yeah. If he finally answers the fucking phone.
Come
But,
on, Brad.
I know,
Reply to
come
the
on,
email,
Bradley.
sir.
I know. I've just been sending bradpitt@gmail.com, so I don't know if that works.
Imagine Imagine if Brad Pitt had like Brad Pitt 7 or something. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine if he didn't have Brad Pitt 1.
So you're saying I should go from Brad Pitt to Brad Pitt 99?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll give that a shot afterwards. And please, nobody listening, like, make those as well and, like, catfish me. I'll be so upset. But, yeah, like, so we all sit around and chat about all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, I think for new people especially, you're like, yeah, it's fucked at every level. Like, there's no production I've been on where it's like, this is ran quote unquote smoothly and without anything fucked happening. Even like the small productions, you're like, what could go wrong? You're like, oh, there's always stuff that goes wrong.
Always everything going wrong. Yeah.
So again, that's the reason why I put this out there. And then get my guests in who I really admire their work and make them feel worse about themselves by the time they leave.
Shit on them, leave them to be.
Exactly,
Send
right?
them back out
I just want them to have a bad day. And then I should have enough guests at one point. Everyone has a bad day, and then I hopefully start getting cast more. So that's my long-term goals for the podcast.
I mean, it's an interesting approach, but I respect it.
Yeah, look, acting and being myself has not worked for me so far. So I'm just trying different avenues.
Fuck other people.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. I'm really trying to fuck over as many people.
Maybe you'll fuck us up so much that they'll be, you know, we'll all leave our roles and then you can take them all.
That's it. So I think we're probably going for roughly the same roles as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, me and you.
Yeah,
exactly the same. You could absolutely be my stunt double.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that. That is a legal binding contract on this podcast. So if Lou has any stunts coming up, I have to
Set it here
do
first,
your
baby.
Stunts now. Yep. Okay, cool. Perfect. But we move on from that. So you did say, Edinburgh Fringe. Was that the most recent one you were talking about?
Yeah, that was my most recent one. So this was just like mortifyingly embarrassing. But I had like, so obviously Edinburgh, everyone from Australia sees all your socials.
Yeah.
And so everyone says, "Oh my god, you had a great time in Edinburgh. Wow, you slayed so hard." Like
that's because I put my best parts on socials.
I ain't posting these stories. Like,
yeah.
But I think it was maybe like the second night in Edinburgh, and I'd sold 9 tickets.
Oh, that sounds like Edinburgh Fringe.
It's pretty bleak. And the night before, somehow I'd sold like 25, 30. So
hey,
I was like,
yeah, that's good.
I was like, yes, I love this. And then night 2, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking crazy.
Yep, that sounds about right as well.
And I'd flied my ass off for like 2 hours, but it was kind of like the week. Like, it hadn't hit the weekend yet. So it was maybe like a Wednesday or a Thursday night. Like, no one was there.
Lulls there, yeah.
There was only kind of students there. And I, like, walk out on stage and there's exactly 9 people, 2 of which are... I've just signed with an agency in Australia, right?
Oh, yeah, awesome.
And 2 of the people there are my new agents or people who work for the agency, right?
Oh, fuck. Okay.
And they have never seen my stuff before. So I'm like...
Oh, okay.
Jesus. Also didn't know. I don't think I knew they were coming either. So I walk out and I'm already
so you
like...
just spied them.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck. And they're absolutely lovely people, delightful. Yeah. I could fuck up. I could bomb hard and they would still support me. So
yeah,
like,
but like you put that so much pressure on yourself,
totally.
regardless
also,
of how nice they are.
I haven't met them yet, like in my mind. So I just like know, and I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ, do a good show.
Yeah.
Because like, what if the agency drops me like 2 weeks after that? You know, I'm stressing.
Every single time my agent calls me, I'm like, well, they're going to drop me now. Fuck.
Isn't it crazy? Like, it's always in the back of your head. And so I'm like, fuck. And then, so I'm already feeling like, oh my God, 9 people, but it's okay. And they're like pretty spread out.
Yeah.
There's a family in the front row.
Okay.
And I generally say my stuff is like 16 plus. And all my marketing's kind of like, yeah, fun, like sex stories, internet stories. Like, it's kind of like slay boots the house down. Like, it's very, I'm going for the girls and the gays. You know what I mean? I'm very like specific about that.
It's not specifically targeted at
Truly,
children.
There's a 13-year-old in the front row and I'm like, okay, I don't mind.
Yeah.
13's fine. And you know what? Sometimes I had someone bring like a 9-year-old once in Melbourne.
Okay.
And actually, slay. They loved it.
Yeah, oh,
the mom,
awesome.
As long as the parents are fine.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm not telling anything like violent or mortifying.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just a bit raunchy, you know?
Yeah, right. And again, the fucking teenagers that are on the internet, they've seen way worse stuff.
I was watching porn at night. Like, I'm
exactly,
like,
right?
I'm like, they truly have
Anyone that can get online has seen the most horrific stuff.
Yeah. Like, so I was like, the kids didn't like freak me out so much.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were there as like a family unit, and it was very clear, like kid, mum, dad. And I was like, okay.
You got your nice little nuclear family in the front.
Oh my God. And so I started, and my first line has the word cunt in it.
Oh, lovely.
And it's not like, it's like, what is the line? It's something, I can't even remember now, but it's not like you fucking cunt. Like, it's literally just like
directed at the family in the front row.
Yeah, straight to the 13-year-old. It's just like kind of an off the cuff thing in the way that Australians say it. You know what I mean? And like, I'm from the bush, I say it all the time, and kind of Scottish people say cunt all the time as well.
So much. So I feel like if the family was Scottish,
it
would
would have been
that's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
So they're American.
Okay, that's less acceptable in America.
I mean, and so I say blah, 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 cunt, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
As soon as I say cunt, they stand up, like, whoomp, the mum rips the child up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is, you know, maybe there was 5 of them. No, there was 4 of them.
Okay.
And so the mum rips the child up and they like storm out. And I'm not even talking like, I've done like literally one line of my show. Like, I'm not even talking like a little sneaking out. Like, they're like angry, and I can hear that they're American. I'm like, oh my God. They get to the back of the room and I can't really continue on because there's 9 people in the room. 4 of them are storming
just
out.
lost half your audience.
2 of the others are my agents.
Yes.
There's 3 people. Like, it is bleak as fuck. So they walk out, they go to the tech, and the tech is this like beautiful like 19-year-old New Zealand girl. Like, she's just like the sweetest motherfucker, and they're like, this is incredibly inappropriate. Like, and I'm like, what? It said, like, I'm like, it says 16 plus on all my marketing. And they storm, and as they're leaving, they're like, we'll be leaving a review. And so I'm like,
where?
like an audience review. So I was like,
oh, okay.
Fuck. And so they storm out, and that was just the fucking pits. And I look around to these 3 people and my 2 agents, and I'm like, oh, this is my second day in Edinburgh. Yeah. And I think when it gets below 5, I'm like, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, do the show, like, no matter what they paid. But I just like look at these people and I'm like, I can buy you a beer. Like, how about we just go have a beer? Like,
just sit down and do something a little bit more constructive than this.
I was like, you know, I'll refund you, like, whatever. But they were so fucking sweet, and they were like, no, do the show. We want to see the show. And then it honestly turned out to be one of the best shows.
Oh,
because they were so supportive.
I feel like an audience, when something like that happens, the other audience members are like, no, I'm on your fucking side now.
100%. And they're like, fuck those people. Like, you do it. You go, girl. So it was like my little support squad of like 3 and my 2 agents.
And that is everybody has that story from Edinburgh Fringe as well.
Truly, but I was like, second night, let's go. Like, it was actually mortifying, but
I find we did it. A lot of live performances, your opening night goes so well, and then the second night is fucked.
I actually made a rule. Because I used to always do like one preview and then opening night, and opening night's kind of generally when you have like critics or reviewers and stuff, and I will never do that now. I put on the 3rd or 4th night.
Yeah, nice.
Because you have such adrenaline for the first night.
Yeah, right.
You get to the second and it's bleak.
Everything's off. Like, your timing's just really weird. You're too comfortable because your first night went really well.
Truly.
That
You're like,
makes
I'm
sense.
killing it. Everything's fine. Yeah. And then
you're like, oh, I can't believe I stressed for literally months about this show. And I'm like, I can relax now. It's the second night. And then it's the second night blues. Everything's fucked.
Truly.
And so that's the quintessential second night story as well.
Always the second night.
But also, don't sit in the front row if you don't know what the show is.
Yeah. Also, don't bring your kid. Like, honestly, I was like, you went and saw an Australian stand-up comedian with your 13-year-olds as people. I was like, you know, it doesn't say cunt in my bio, but I'm like, it's close enough. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like if you read really closely between the lines.
Cunt, like,
serving cunt. That should be your next show.
Serving cunt.
At least they'll know that way as well then. But like, I'm also like, why would you go and speak to the tech?
Oh my God.
And that tech probably doesn't know you. Like, they would have met
also,
you.
What is the tech going to do? Like, turn the lights off? Like, I was like,
they just cut all the power to the venue. No, you know what? I'm on board with this as well.
And like, to assume that the tech like isn't on my side, like to be like, anyway, that was my crazy pits Edinburgh experience.
I feel like it's still like awful in the moment,
but
a fantastic story afterwards.
Great story. And also the show turned out to be like really lovely and like really great.
And did you get dropped by your agency afterwards?
I didn't.
Fuck yes.
Knock on wood. Still with them. Let's fucking go.
So the next Edinburgh Fringe show, when they come along and you get more walk-ins.
Yeah, truly.
They know to expect that. I'm also so on the fence whether I was like, if I was new with an agency and I knew some of them were coming along, I was like, I don't know if I want a heads up or if I want to be...
I think they didn't tell me because they're like, we don't want to stress you out.
Yeah.
Which was good, but just like that show of all the shows.
Well, I mean, yeah. But it's like I'd have a mild stress for a day or two beforehand, or that like massive peak of stress when I suddenly spy them and I'm like, oh,
totally.
fuck.
But then you realise you're like, oh, these are just like sweet, 20-year-olds working for it. Like, they're just like
human
us. Like, they're just human beings, but like,
they're not
oh my
like
God.
a 60-year-old agent who fucking hates everything and is just still in the job because they can't do anything else anymore.
Legitimately.
Which I don't think there's that many of them around it, which is nice.
I reckon in like music theatre, they're like clinging on. Like there's certain industries where I'm like, film and TV, not like kind of rarely.
No.
Or you'll get like a crazy white woman.
Yes. The quintessential, almost stereotypical person,
Which is almost scarier. But I feel like those kind of agents, not so much.
No, but I feel like I don't do music theatre at all as well, but from what I've heard from a lot of friends, it's like it's the agents and then it's the casting agents as well.
Casting directors are cucaracha.
I kind of want to meet them but not interact with them ever. I'd like to
I want to observe
in an audition to watch the casting directors.
And then just to hear, like, as the auditionee leaves the room, to hear what they say.
Oh my God,
would be juice. Gosh. Because they'd be so bitchy, I reckon.
Oh, they'd be horrible people, I reckon. Because I've had so many people just being like, or friends telling me, like, they were complaining about me openly in the room. I could hear them.
Literally.
I've never had that.
I've had people like...
I don't think in acting. I don't think I've ever had that in acting.
Like comment on my haircut and shit. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, you're going to put me in a wig anyway. Calm the fuck down.
Oh my God. So many times I'm like, you know what I look like. Like it doesn't matter what I look like today. You can put makeup on me. Fuck. I hate that. That's a personal thing which I don't like. And I don't know if you've ever done TV commercials before as well.
Yeah, I've done a few.
Yeah, so when you get the client for a TV commercial and you're just stood in front of them so they can final check you.
And the clients are crazy.
Oh my God, they're so strange.
Aren't the people who are making the TVC.
They're not the creative
They're
type.
not the creative.
Yeah, they're, I don't know, the people that work for Office Works or whatever.
Truly.
Yeah.
But they're marketing people, which is like almost like the worst breed of people. So I'll say it.
I think them and real estate agents.
Oh my God.
I've done some work for like show home TV commercials and stuff like that. And the real estate agents for them, like they come in and I'm like, oh no, I'd just rather not do this commercial now.
Truly. I had to do a Fish Fingers commercial recently.
Oh wow. I didn't know Fish Fingers were still around. Fuck yeah.
There they are, baby, bird's eye. And there was they were doing like a set of like 3 commercials, and one, there was this girl with red hair and she had like dyed red hair.
Oh, okay.
And then I show up to set with my red hair and they're like, the people from the team were just like, no, we can't have this. Dyed my hair on set, which just like bleached the fuck out of it. They also were like going for brown, but it turned grey, and they were like, it's fine. But I was like, these people are fucking crazy. Like, and I did it as well because they're like, we'll pay you like extra, and I was like, slay. Like,
I was like, yeah, fuck me up as much as you want,
as much as honestly, they could put a tattoo on me, and I'm like, if you're paying me, let's go.
Right, and it's like, as long as it's enough to like get it removed afterwards.
Truly.
Don't pay me $100 and do it. I'll be honest, like 3 or 4 figures would be nice, but like whenever it's that kind of stuff,
I'm like, let's go.
It's so funny as well because like for performing, you're like, wear my heart on my sleeve, and then you go in front of so many people that just belittle you and destroy you, not even to your face, but like they talk about you when you're there. And I'm like, oh cool, I'll go on and do some acting now.
Third person. I mean, like as if you're just like an object in the room.
Yeah, right.
Like,
they turn to each other and like, can we fix his hair?
Yeah.
Can his hair be any better? And I was like, what do you mean by better?
Better, yeah.
Are they?
I grew this myself.
I know. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm doing great. I'm working the acting industry. I'm very stressed all the time. I did one for a TV commercial, which like the TV commercial was lovely, so I don't really want to name who they were.
Yeah.
But I went into a room of 7 people, and it was filmed in this really nice big house in Melbourne, in like one of the fancy suburbs. It's a massive house, and then all of the not the creative team, sorry, like the people that worked for the company were sitting in a room, just all on a line of chairs. And I just went in and stood there, and they all silently just looked at me, and then I had to leave the room whilst they talked about me, and I was like, this is fucking weird.
That's awful.
Yeah, and then
that's like a runway fashion show without any of the hype, like
none of the positives,
any of the good bits.
And then I had to go out, and like then I got a little bit of feedback from like the AD was lovely, and I think they thought it was a bit weird as well. Then I had to go and be like this really excited new dad.
Oh my god!
I was just like mentally dressed down by all these silent executives.
Oh my god! But, cursed.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, I don't like to be perceived. I mean, wrong industry, but
that's the thing, though, isn't it? So, like, for so much creative stuff that we all get to do, there's also so much other crap that goes along with it.
Truly.
And I'm just like, oh, this is just tiring. Just let me be an actor,
Just let me
please.
act,
Or
brothers.
stunts, just kick me over in the mud. I'd rather do that all day than be silently judged in a room. But I always ask as well, every single time with TV commercials. TV commercials are usually superseded, isn't the right word, but they start off with the TV commercial auditions. Have you done a lot of... I know, it was a really weird... Have you done a lot of TV commercial auditions?
Oh, auditions, right, yeah.
Sorry, I say... I've noticed from listening back to the podcast, I say
auditions.
like auditions. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
English is my second language.
Also, Australians are also fucked because we're like, oh, what? Someone's not saying it like us?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, I'm like, it's us, it's ours.
No, it's also... I have noticed it listening
Auditions,
back.
yeah. I've done...
yes.
And TV commercial auditions are crazy because often you'll be like doing like... You'll be doing something for a product or like a car, and like there's not a car in the room, and so you're just there, and they're like, and yep, get the clutch, handbrake down, and you're like just literally miming, and you're like, how can they possibly tell from it? Like,
I think you should just cast on what my headshot looks like.
Honestly,
that's all you need.
That's all you're doing.
I've done so many. Car commercials are always the one where they're like, you're driving down and you're winding your window down.
Oh my God.
No, it's a push button. You're not like...
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then like...
And your partner's in the front seat and you love your partner and you're turning up the radio.
And then you pull up to your job site and you get out of your car and then you walk into the building and I was like, oh, I can't move off this X.
And you're doing it on the spot. Yeah,
so
literally.
I'm like, pretending to walk into this building and be an architect, and then I'm like, and they're like, all right, you're checking out the structure of the building. I was like, what does that mean?
You're like sick.
Like pretend to hold a pad and paper. I don't know.
You're like, just tell me to raise my eyebrows or not. Like, just like...
All right. Also, this is so much easier to do on the set when there's a fucking building there.
Truly.
Yeah. So there's so many of them.
Oh my God. This is actually... No, this is a good embarrassing story. This will be my next one, which I just remembered.
Segue.
So, I am auditioning for this Australian comedy TV show. And in the script, it says... it's like in an office, but they're doing it's like a choir, right? So it's like a choir rehearsal. There's singers, blah, 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 blah. And the stage direction says like, this character like picks up a flute.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, great. And I'm like in my bedroom at home. It's like the middle of lockdown.
Oh,
I have lost
classic.
the plot because it's the middle of lockdown. And I'm like, a flute. I'm like, oh, I don't have a flute. I'll just like use my clarinet, right?
Yep.
So I do this audition with my clarinet as a prop. I'm holding my clarinet the entire time.
Because who would have a flute?
Who would have a fucking flute?
In lockdown of all things as well.
Like
gonna go out and buy a flute for this.
Crazy. I send it in. It's a pretty good audition. Like I'm happy with it. It's funny. I send it in. Send to my agent and he sends it off. I don't even think he's watched it, like, right? Because there's, he's just sending it through.
Oh, I mean, like, there's so many fucking submissions. I'm not going to sit there and watch them all day, huh?
I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my God, they meant a champagne flute. I'm a fucking bimbo. I'm such a bimbo. If I read the script in any detail, also earlier on in the script, it's like they pop champagne, like everyone has flutes. Like,
oh, okay.
It is simply my fault completely.
I was going to be on your side a bit more.
No, it's 100%. Like champagne is mentioned. Like,
but say champagne glass.
Say glass. Like I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, so
that's a bit unfortunate.
I know. So I've done this whole audition holding a clarinet.
Yep.
Anyway, got the role.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's fucking awesome.
Actually crazy. I'm like, have no idea. Because like literally got the role like 9 months after. Because I think everything stopped with COVID. Like it was
course. Like, that makes
randomly
sense.
just like one day it's like, oh yeah, would love you for this. And then I was like, oh my God. But I have no idea to this day whether they've seen the clarinet audition or whether they just saw me do, something else.
Yeah.
But I'm like, simply mortified to know that exists on some casting director's server.
It's there, isn't
somewhere.
it? Somewhere. Because I think you can delete as much fucking stuff as you want, but on the backup hard drive or some fucking cloud, all your horrible editions are floating around out there.
Truly. But it made me think, because I was telling my friend this story, and she was like, some people like try to do wacky stuff so they're remembered. Yeah. Like there's this girl who goes into auditions and she holds a pumpkin when she sings. Okay. And everyone remembers her as like Pumpkin Girl, like, and it's like really memorable.
Is that a good thing?
I'd want to be remembered for my talent, not my pumpkin.
I mean,
but I'm like, maybe I Pumpkin Girled my way into that. Maybe they're like, that fucking weird cunt with the fucking clarinet. Let's get them.
You should weird cunt with the clarinet. That's your Pumpkin Girl now.
That's my Pumpkin Girl, yeah.
But I also feel like sometimes, like, if it can go both ways, but if it's such a swing, I don't know, like, such a swing and a miss, or like such a weird out of left field kind of an audition.
Yeah, it's
All
distracting.
Auditions, then people can like they'll be like, all right, they tried something.
Yeah.
They were, I don't know what it was, but they did something different.
They were bold, and
and I appreciate that. Maybe they were pretending to drink champagne out of a clarinet. Yeah, which I'd be honest, I don't know how clarinets work so well. I don't know if they can hold liquid.
I mean, spit goes through them, but they cannot hold. They ain't a vessel.
Okay, they're not the best glasses out there in the world in that case. But
truly mortifying though. I was like,
but you got the fucking role.
I got the role.
And we did it, baby. Not a good example for all you newbies out there, or even established people. Don't do this.
The script. Just read the script. That's all I say.
Yeah, read the script, and then like double check it. And if you're anything like myself, have someone else just like that you're reading with double check it as well, because I'm a fucking idiot and I will like just take things at face value sometimes.
100%.
And then I'll be like, oh yeah, flute makes sense. Don't call it a flute as well if you're writing this, please.
Please, to all the writers out there. Bring it down a notch, please.
Is this TV show out yet then?
It is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's Fisk with Kitty Flanagan.
Yeah, so nice.
You will see in that show I am holding... Actually, I'm not, because they decided my character was pregnant. So I'm not even holding a flute, because I'm not allowed to be drinking.
But you did have a clarinet in your bag.
Their clarinet was with me on
set.
Chuck
that on IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
Lou Wall has a clarinet.
Truly.
But I was just going to ask, because there was another Office-based thing that was going around for a little while that literally everybody auditioned for, and then I don't know whether they're allowed to talk about it or not. But anyway,
The Office?
The Office,
yeah.
I never understand when you sign an NDA what you're... I didn't sign one for this, by the way. But like, I'm like, when are you allowed to talk about things? And
when does it get released?
Allowed...
And what what are the specifications? I never want to sign an NDA because I have the fucking loosest lips. I always tell anyone, I'm like, if you have a secret, don't tell me. I love gossip.
All right, nobody trusts Lou.
No one trusts me, honestly. And I don't have that much gossip myself. So I'm like, my currency is other people's gossip.
Yeah.
So I'm mining for it.
Especially when you're on film sets for so long.
And there's always so much gossip. Especially on film sets, because you're like, you're often there for like 4 months. Yeah. And you're like, people aren't sick. There's affairs. They're like, everyone's fucking each other. Like, it's always happening.
You're in such weirdly intimate spaces with each other as well. Like, a lot of the time, people you've never fucking met before. And then, God forbid, you actually have an intimate scene as well.
Truly.
And you're just like, I would never do this at any other job. But I
wouldn't even do this with my fucking partner.
I know, right? But like, sometimes you're sitting in bed with somebody that you've maybe just met that day for 8 hours at a time, while so many other people are staring at you, and you're just sweating so much because there's so many fucking lights on you.
And even like, you think about like, it's like what the cameraman sees, or like the makeup department. You're like, they're like touching you in play. Oh my gosh.
Makeup department. They have seen too much. I feel so sorry for them.
Truly. I'm like, so babes.
And I also come in and I'm like, I'm so sorry you have to do this to me. Because I'm like, even at the face, you're like, they're breathing in your eyeballs, they're that close to you. But then if you ever have to do any like body touch-ups or anything like that as well, and I'm just like, I'm sorry you have to paint this spot off my ass. Like, if it's any consolation, I'm uncomfortable as well, but they're fine. Hello. Now, not to interrupt all of these wonderfully awkward stories, but Coffee on Cue is back at it again. Introducing the Coffee on Cue Filter Coffee Brewing Pack, your ticket to enjoying these embarrassing moments with a perfect cup of coffee. This incredible kit includes a 2-cup V60 pour-over filter brewer, matching filter papers, and 250 grams of their Ethiopian Guji single origin coffee, specially roasted for filter brewing. This is the gift for the coffee drinker in your life, or for an office Kris Kringle, or anyone that says, I don't really want a present this year. And the best part? Well, we've got an exclusive offer just for you beautiful perverts. Head over to www.coffeeonq.com.au, and that's QCUE, right now, and use the code WBFT15. That's WBFT15 at checkout, and you'll score a fantastic 15% off your purchase. So, whether you're brewing up awkward stories or sharing a laugh over a cup of delicious filter coffee, the Coffee on Cue Filter Coffee Brewing Pack is here to make every moment extra special. And that'll happen with your WBFT15 15% discount. So don't miss out on this incredible deal and the opportunity to give the perfect gift this holiday season. Visit www.coffeeonq.com.au and use WB15 WFTAQ15 for your 15% discount and start embracing the awkward 1 cup of coffee at a time.
I remember I was working on a TV show earlier this year, and I was going through a breakup, and I simply was just not caring for myself at all. Like, I was doing the bare minimum. I was rocking up to set just being like, fix me. And this poor makeup artist who I'm really good friends with now was just like, I remember her like on like maybe like the third day, was like, hi sweetheart, is there like supposed to be a dread in your hair? And I was like, cut it babes, cut it, like please sort me out. Like, it was
that's
like
so nice of them as well.
I know, she was like so sweet. Like, I was like, and next time you see one, don't tell me. Snip, snip.
Yeah,
I won't
you
notice.
just have a bald patch to the back of your head by the end of filming.
Honestly, I was like, if it's the back of my head, go for it. Like, it was bleak.
Well, just shoot me from the front. It doesn't matter, please.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But also, like, the makeup department have to get like things like boogers or shit. Yeah. You're like, I wouldn't know, like, or like plaque on your teeth, like everything. Like,
I have a beard as well, and they have to come in and occasionally pick little bits out.
A little bit of food out of the beard.
I feel like a monkey or a child, and I'm like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, you're like, just let me know. I'm more than I do not expect you to do this for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time as well, for them, they're just like, I'll pop in 2 seconds, it's fine.
Yeah.
Rather than be like, no, it's just on the other side of your mouth.
It's so much easier for them to go in, and even like stuff where you have to eat a lot, especially if you're spitting it out.
Yeah.
If you're shooting for a product and you're eating that product, spitting it out into a spit bucket. I'm like, the people who have to hold the spit bucket, I'm like, your job is literally you holding a bucket of my spit for 3 hours.
Like the people that have like the first year in the industry, they're working their way up. Maybe they'll become a famous director one day.
The Lord's work they are doing at the Lord's work.
I feel so bad for them. Like PAs, production assistants, and for anyone that doesn't know as well, like a spit bucket is essentially like what you were saying, Lou. If you have to eat things, generally try not to ingest them because you have to eat them like 50 times.
50 times, yeah.
And then, you chew it, cut, spit it into a bucket next to you. Again, not a glamorous life.
Oh,
but
it's so not glamorous.
Yeah.
We shot this thing for this ABC show about it was a piece on tomato sauce and whether you should keep it in the fridge or the cupboard. And there was this scene where we were all eating it on like in sausage with sausages like on the outside, and we just like I think we had like 50 sausages to begin with.
So many sausages.
So many sausages, but we were getting like a lot of angles. There was a lot of people in the shoot, and like. By the end, we had to be reusing the same sausages. So we'd throw these sausages.
Oh, no.
And then the poor people, like the poor PAs would like run, pick up the sausages, dust all the dirt off, reapply the sauce, and so we could mime eating it in. I was like, oh, this is feral.
Bless you, people. And
truly.
It's like, again, it's that kind of stuff where you're like, I wouldn't be doing this at any other job.
Any other job,
but they're running around and they're picking up things, and they've got like little buckets down next to you, which like literally has chewed food in it. I'm like,
rank.
Bless them.
Bless them.
But everybody starts at that level as well. So it's kinda,
exactly.
I don't know. It needs done too. I don't know. I was like, I would always be so happy to do that myself.
Yeah.
And you're in costume, you're trying to be in character, and you can't run away and empty your spit bucket all the time.
I just want like if I was doing it for an actor, I'd want the actor to be famous, so I could at least be like, I held Brad Pitt's spit, or like,
I have half a sausage Brad Pitt chewed. Can I sell this?
Legit.
Yeah. So PAs and third ADs.
I thought you were literally saying I have half a sausage.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's fucking crazy, sir.
Yeah, no. Oh, no, then I definitely don't. What
I was like,
are you talking about? That's why Brad won't return my calls. I just want the other half of his sausage. That doesn't sound right to say out loud. Anyway, swiftly moving on. I also say third ADs do the Lord's work as well.
Yeah,
so anyone that doesn't know, they look after extras.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times you've worked with extras. And I always say I've done loads of extras work when I was first starting out in Australia.
Yeah.
But they are the strangest human beings you'll ever meet in your life.
Like crazy people. Yeah.
And like I do not mean that as like hyperbole or however you say that word properly. Like they're genuinely the strangest human beings. Because none of them...
Because they don't have day jobs. Being an extra is often their job.
Yeah.
And so their job... And actually being on a film set is really boring.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's one of the most boring...
Especially as extras.
Especially as an extra.
98% of the time. You're walking so far back in the scene.
Yeah.
Once, maybe twice in the scene, and that's it. You have nothing to do. It's never an interesting show.
You get fed last. Yep. You have to, only hang out. You're not allowed to talk to anyone.
As well.
Like,
you're fed finally. Like, it goes
they should eat
casting
first,
crew. Yeah, they sometimes have their own little
tucked
away food supply as well. And the third ADs are just like, they're like battle worn. They're like, I just can't stop people like climbing on the furniture,
Truly.
or they just keep running away.
And often, like, I mean, I have also like been an extra multiple times, so I'm like, it's fine to say, but maybe it's not. I don't give a shit.
That's
but
kind of what I feel like too.
So often you'll have like some people who are like mega fans of the film industry, or like they really want to meet an actor who's on set, and it's like as an extra, you're almost like less likely to meet.
I know, right?
Like,
there's such a buffer between you and the main cast.
And the third AD is all they're doing is like making sure the extra doesn't talk to any of the main cast, which the main cast don't really give a fuck, but they're also at work, you know? Like they're doing their jobs.
And it depends what the main cast is doing, because like, not to sound like a wanker, but sometimes you've got like more emotional scenes where you kind of need to stay in a...
Totally, you're doing a big monologue, so like you're like, I'm not here to like banter with...
Or sometimes you just feel like absolute dog shit that day, and you're like, everyone has a bad day at work, but I don't want like my one interaction with that one person to be bad because 100%. I'm just not feeling good today or whatever.
Yeah, or they're like I was, just like people who are looking to get into the industry, which just puts you in the most eager position.
I know,
and it's
right?
like, oh, it's...
I've met a couple of people when I was doing extras work that were like that, and I still see them around now as well, and they've definitely made their way up. And then there's some other people that are like, I think I did it maybe like 7 years ago, and now, like, not that I'm famous or doing well or anything like that, but I get in little big parts and I'm getting stunt work and stuff, and I'm still seeing some of the people from 7 years ago that are just like stuffing their pockets with cake and stuff like that from the crafty service or from craft services and stuff like that, and
stealing
I'm
their costume.
right, or they're just like, they'd be
I mean, I'd steal my costume if it was lit.
I steal some costumes unless costumers are listening. In that case,
I've never touched anything,
but I try and take as much stuff as I can because the film industry takes so much from you.
Exactly.
But yeah, like working as a stunt performer, and I say this all the time as well, extras constantly want to be part of the stunts. They'll always try and sneak their way in to come and throw a little punch with you and stuff like that, and you're like, I don't know who you are. I do not trust you. Please stop telling me you do stunts as well. Like, Australia's so strict. Like, you have to be graded. You have to go through an entire grading procedure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like we all train every week together, so we know each other a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I don't just want this random person from like an extra
swinging
in
at your face,
jumping on everyone and being like, no, please stop that. This is all choreographed.
So it's an art, it's a craft.
Like, it's a dance.
It's dance, So I'm
like, please don't just come in and like do whatever you're
That'd
about to
be me
do.
though. That'd so be me.
Or like, coming in and just be like, watch out, everyone.
Trained. I can't even do a push-up. Like, I'm like, let's go. Like,
you get to have to do a push-up on screen. Actually, for acting I have, but not for any stunt work.
It'll happen.
Yeah, one day. They'll need a stunt push-up person. I can double you for push-ups.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go. See,
perfect.
Full circle. Perfect. So you're also... We've been talking about a lot of your acting work, but you're a comedian as well.
Yeah.
We've had so many comedians on the show that have come on and kind of just don't necessarily get embarrassed anymore because it's such a part of the course to fail.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a horrible way. Like,
no, you eat shit all the time as a comedian.
The bomb is, to be expected in the first few years.
Yeah, and embarrassment is almost part of the job.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, if you're not bombing, then you're probably not testing stuff enough. Like,
and then also, like, a lot of people are like, if they're laughing with you or at you, still a laugh.
Still a laugh, baby.
So as long as it's not
still a paid ticket.
Silence or people just being like, oh.
Yeah,
it's still a laugh.
It's still a laugh, yeah.
So do you find yourself getting embarrassed like easily or at all anymore, I suppose, on stage or with any of the comedy work?
Definitely, like if I bomb, I'm definitely embarrassed in the moment. Yeah. Like it's definitely like quite humbling, and like I generally don't like to talk to the audience after the show. But like
I hate from theatre work, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
When you have to exit through where they are sometimes, I always just like, I feel like such a dickhead. Nobody wants to
feel like a dickhead,
talk to me, but I'm just like head down and just try and go as fast as I can. And sometimes people are genuinely really nice and they do want to say great
I would say
stuff.
all the time people are so genuinely nice. And I lie. I do like seeing people after the show. If I've had a bad show though, I'm like, head down, let's fucking go. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, get me out of here. I
know, right? And even if you've had a bad show, maybe it's the first time people have seen you as well, and they're like, no, that was a good show. But you're like, and you're like, you don't know what I can do.
Yeah,
I know.
And if someone will be like, oh, good try, I think that's
good
really hard. Worst. You're like, oh, we all know what that means.
Yeah. Like, or it's like, I've seen you before, and then it's just silence, and you're like, oh, thank you.
God, I did. So I talk about that Edinburgh experience, but that wasn't actually my worst show. I had one show that was like truly horrific in that it was one of my first sold out shows.
Oh, awesome.
But it wasn't
Humble
horrific
brag.
it wasn't horrific in a like entertaining way, but it was just, so it was sold out. It was a Friday night and I knew it was sold out ahead of time.
Oh, awesome.
So, I mean, most times in Edinburgh you'd sell out very close to when you opened. So you'd kind of be like, I don't know if I'm sold out or not. And then after the show. Yeah, exactly. I mean, 5 minutes before.
Yeah, right? Everyone just turns up with their £10 note and like, I'll come and see this now.
Exactly. Which is so great, but, you know, bad for the anxiety.
The old mental health.
The old mentee bee. Anyway, so I walked out and I knew it was sold out, and I think I'd kind of gotten a bit, like, I'd let my ego go a bit. I was like, yeah, let's go. You know, I was like, I'll have them. It's sold out. Let's go.
Yeah, you don't need to work for them. Like, they're here to see
they're here to see me. And like, I was a bit up myself, which was a bad place to start. And then it was really men heavy and really like straight hetero heavy.
Oh, okay.
Which usually I don't mind, but for this specific show, like, I'm like, some of my favorite gigs are like country pubs, you know,
right.
with like, I'm like, and that's where I come from and I love that kind of stuff. But I'm like, this show is like, it's about the internet, it's about Instagram, it's about jealousy, it's about being a girl. Like, it's just like,
maybe not the target audience in that case.
Not the target audience, and I should have known that because girls and gays never book in advance. I mean, gays never book in advance, so I'm like, it's actually good if I haven't sold out.
Tiring sometimes.
It's exhausting.
Please.
Marketing to my favourite camps.
I know.
And the show was, honestly, it was just really bad. Like, it was like, it was really silent. Like, it was just, and like, you know, there were parts that went well, and like, I don't think it was that off, you know, but it just didn't hit with that audience, and that's fine. But one of my favourite comedians was there in the audience.
No. Do you care to name names? We don't have to.
I'm not going to name their name.
That's totally fine. Message Lou afterwards to find out who this is.
If they listen to this, they will 100% know it's them.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think they even know. I haven't told them this. But anyway, I am obsessed with them. They kind of do we're kind of similar, and I've been obsessed with them for a very long time.
Sick.
And they'd never seen my work.
Oh.
So this was like devastating. That this is the first thing they saw. And I saw them after the show, and they were honestly trying to be really kind. Not trying to be really kind, they were being really kind. Yeah. But what they said to me, they straight out were like, oh my God, it was more of a horror than a comedy. Oh, no. And that comment, I cried for like a full day. Like, it got me so bad, because I think like if you're a comedian and you do something other than stand-up, which I do like songs and I do like lots of AV stuff, like all you want to do is be like, I'm a comedian. And then for them to say that, I was like, oh. And then I went and I did their gig like 2 days later. Yeah, right. And they said the same comment again. But they were doing it in a really sweet way. They were like, yeah, it was great. Like, I love horror. It was like a thriller. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was so dramatic. And I was there just being like, I failed.
Do you know you made me cry for a day?
I know, but I'm like, I know it was like in my head. And I told like all my friends, and they're like, they were saying it like because they were like, you know, they loved that it wasn't stand-up, you know what I mean?
It's like the hierarchy in comedy as well. Like, you're just a stand-up, you don't, and then people look down on like
totally, and people hate musical comedy,
which is so strange. There's some fucking amazing musical comedians out there, right? Like,
and also like I think when you say musical comedy, people just see like you've got a ukulele and you're singing like 4-chord songs. I'm like, I'm doing.
Dimitri Martin did a real disservice to musical comedy. Yeah, 100%. But there's like even just Melbourne-based, like Josh Earl, Jude Pearl,
totally.
Like, they rhyme. But like so many really talented like musical
Lou
comedians. Yeah, that's right.
So many, and I'm like, I'm doing like tracks, you know, like I'm not doing, so I'm just like, it's so different. But anyway, that was so fucked, but they honestly were giving me a compliment and I just took it the wrong way.
And it's so hard as well, because you go home by yourself afterwards,
truly,
and then you're alone with your thoughts, which is always the worst thing to be. Was this in Edinburgh as well?
This was in Edinburgh, yeah.
So you're not at home with your comforts and stuff like that?
No, but I did tell my producer who I was really close to. And initially she was like, what a cunt. Why the fuck would you say that? And I was like, that's exactly what I needed there. And then the next day we were talking about it. And she was like, oh, he wasn't trying to be mean at all. Like, he was actually being really kind. And I was like, no, fuck. Yeah, maybe he was. Like, maybe I'm just insane. Like, but I think because I'd had such a bad show... I was like already super embarrassed.
And
So
this person might not have known that it was a really bad show for you as well.
no,
and,
and I did that awful thing, which you should never do,
Yeah.
which is be like, oh my God, that was such a shit one. Because
Oh my God, that is like, it's so hard sometimes not to do.
so hard not to do that.
But like
But you
people
can't do it because people
know.
are like, they want to enjoy the experience. And
Yeah.
you kind of just crush it, even if they enjoy it.
Yeah. You're telling them they didn't enjoy it afterwards, and like, maybe I didn't enjoy that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
went
And
to
they're
go-
never going to be like, oh, I'm going to come back and see it again. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like,
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of just have to be your own biggest fan, which is gross, and I fucking hate doing it personally. But you're
yeah,
like,
you have to be.
you do, don't you?
Yeah.
I went to go and see this one theatre show in Melbourne. I won't name the show or the theatre,
Okay, whisper it to me.
but okay, it was at South Bank Theatre.
Which
But it was
one?
it was a few years ago, and it was in the smaller theatre there.
Okay, the beautiful
And-
Lola.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I'm not going to name the show now. You've already got that out of me. But it was a one-person show,
Okay.
and it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And the performer came out into the auditorium afterwards and openly was saying, "Nah, this isn't a great show. Nah, I don't love it." And you're like, "I just paid $40 or probably more." Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I showed up on a Saturday night. Yeah.
and it's like, look, I didn't enjoy it. That doesn't mean it wasn't a good show. Maybe it wasn't for
Totally.
me. I don't
Was
think
it-
anyone really enjoyed it.
Was it?
We'll talk afterwards. Don't get me in trouble. But yeah, it was like, yeah. But you can't go out and say that.
No.
Especially because like, fuck, theatre's expensive.
Because you're kind of saying fuck you to people who
Yeah,
just
right?
like,
And you're
time,
like-
money, energy. Like,
if you know it's not good as well, you're kind of deceiving all of us as well.
100%. And also, like, as a performer, you're like, everyone has bad shows.
Oh,
you know what
for
I mean?
sure.
And I think you can watch a bad show and be
Yeah.
like, you know what? It was a bit off. I know what they have. I can see
Yeah.
their potential. Like,
Sometimes I love a bad show as well. And
I love a really bad show. I
me
hate a
too.
boring show.
Oh, if it's a 2.5 stars, don't do it.
Don't do it.
If it's a
I
half
want
star,
1 or 5.
yeah. Oh, me
Nothing
too.
in between.
Yeah, not even a 4.5. No, fuck them.
Fuck 4.5s.
I do love a 1-star show
Oh,
though,
so
and it
good.
sounds like it's mean, but I'm genuinely appreciating it. So I don't know if it is. I'm enjoying what they're putting out, and I don't know if it's necessarily the
No,
way
I
they
mean
put
it in the
out.
nastiest way possible.
Okay, good. All right. Disclaimer: Lou and I differ there. I love you all. No, I think I'm the same as well, though.
Yeah.
I've seen so many terrible Melbourne Fringe
also
shows,
with-
Edinburgh Fringe
If
shows.
you're a performer, you've been in train wreck shows.
Oh my God.
Like, I have been in train wreck shows.
Me
And
too.
you've been doing the show just being like, I know this is horrific. Like, I'm like, I want to see it if it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Or if it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
In the middling phase,
No.
I'm like, meh.
If it's just a boring one-person show,
Yeah.
they have a ukulele. This isn't aimed at anyone in particular as well.
Shots have been fired.
If you're doing a one-person show in the Butterfly Club with a ukulele,
Oh my God.
I would rather sit
Oh my God.
and stare at a wall for an hour.
I have done one show at the Butterfly Club and
Was it a one-person show with a ukulele?
it was not, but I did have a keyboard, so it was
Okay.
close enough.
Keyboard's
I've done a
passable.
couple of shows, but I've done one of my solo shows, and then I did a show last year, and I invited my friend, and she went to the wrong venue. I didn't like send her a ticket. She went to the Butterfly Club, and it was
Okay.
on at Trades Hall. And she said to me afterwards, she was like, "Oh, sorry, I felt like you're just such a Butterfly Club performer." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so offended."
I know, right? It's such a funny thing as well when you're like, yeah,
I was like, "I'm
can't
not
see you in
cabaret.
Trades Hall.
I'm cool."
Cabaret's cool.
Cabaret is cool.
right? Is
Spread it, make it known. But
Yeah.
no, I love the Butterfly Club.
I
Get
do
that on the
also
mic.
love it, yes, and like.
I grew up there for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, everyone started out there, or there's so many great performances there. Even just
100%.
like it's a really nice space. So
gorgeous.
nothing against you, Butterfly Club. I'm just saying.
We love you, Butterfly.
In your quiet period, some of the shows there are interesting. And hell, we've all had bad shows.
We've all
so
had
I'm
bad
not
shows.
complaining. We're going to start coming towards the end of the podcast now, though. Did you save any particularly horrendous stories for the end, or have we managed to?
I have one horrendous story. It's not particularly entertaining, but it's probably the most embarrassed I've ever felt.
Oh fuck yeah, that's entertaining to me. Do you want to finish on that one?
We'll finish on that one.
Yes, fuck yeah. Set the scene.
Set the scene. So I'm shooting this ABC show and I'm playing myself. And it's
Ooh.
the first kind of big thing I've done. It's the start of this year. I've written it. I'm presenting it. Like, it's very, like, it's kind of what I've been working towards for ages.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Are we allowed to name it? 'Cause, I mean,
Oh, it's called WTFAQ. It's on the
yeah,
ABC.
cool. I was going to say, it's quite easy to find what album it is.
But I was shooting the very first day, and I had my script, and I'd rehearsed it at home, and I thought I knew exactly what I was doing, and I sat down, and For some reason, I mean, just because it's filmed, like
Yeah.
all the prod crew that day were like boys.
Oh yeah,
I was
and that's like production crew as well for the
Yeah,
uncool people.
it's
that
super
don't know it.
broy,
Yeah,
like-
it's so many dudes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
And
like-
it is changing, but you know.
It is, but then sometimes it's not, and
Yeah.
it can be a slow change.
Yeah.
Also, Australia seems to be dragging its feet with a lot of stuff as well.
100%. And I
Yeah.
fucking adore these men. They're
Yeah.
like some of my best mates, my brothers. Like
Can be quite intimidating the first
the
time you
first
get there,
day,
though.
I'm shaking like a leaf.
Yeah.
I've never done this before, and like because they've not for any reason, but just because they've been working together for so many years, they're really like a bit exclusive, and they're like
they're
they
super
know each
insular.
other's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also just at work. You know, they're
Yeah.
just trying to get their job done.
They're
And
all
so,
in their cargo shorts and they're all just talking shorthand to each other and
legit.
Yeah.
And so I'm there. I'm sitting down, and I deliver my first line, and the first line is like, we're answering questions on this
Yeah.
show, so audience questions. So let's just say the question is, you know, what's the fucking question? Why is broccoli green?
Okay.
And I'm like, why is broccoli green? And I think I'm doing a reporter voice.
yeah.
And I do it a couple of times, and then the director just goes, cut. Stop.
Okay.
And then just looks at me directly, and it's silent. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? And she was like, why are you doing your sex voice?
Oh,
It
wow.
burnt me to my actual core. I was like, I'm just trying to sound like a fancy ABC reporter.
Did you practice it at home in that style?
Yeah, I think I was just like, I thought I was talking
Yeah.
in my normal voice.
Yeah.
And she was like, and you're doing sex eyes as well. I've never felt more
Wow.
embarrassed.
What
Like,
are sex eyes?
I think I was just trying to look down the camera, like, but I don't know. It was just like,
Yeah.
but I was truly mortified, and then like kind of went like shot back the other way and was
Yeah.
just like, oh God, like it was.
I'm not going to do anything sexy.
I
the
know,
opposite of
and I was
sexy.
like, obviously that wasn't my sex voice or
Yeah.
my sex eyes, but I'm like, now everyone in their head is like, that's her sex eyes. Do you know what I mean?
a
So I
room
was
full of guys all being like, well,
like,
I've
we just
seen
saw it, like.
sex eyes and voice. Oh dear.
My God. And like now I look back on like the director was just chill. Like she was just being like, oh, like pull it back, like, you
Yeah.
know. But it was
Those offhanded comments sometimes just cut you to the core.
to the fucking core.
And I think sometimes as well, like directors, they work so much more than actors or performers,
Totally.
and they're so chill. And then you come in, sometimes you're like, "Oh God, I'm so scared and so nervous," and those little comments can be like, "Oh God,
Totally.
fuck, I've ruined
And
everything."
she is a fucking phenomenal director. Like
Yeah,
she's
fuck
done
yeah.
so much. And so she was just like, you know, doing her everyday job. But it hit me so hard. And I was like, I can never, like, the most embarrassing.
Did the sound person just take their headphones off or something and be like,
Oh my God, the
"That's
sound
not
person.
what I signed up for."
Yeah, literally, it was like, bye. Also, actually, okay, no, this is the last thing I'll leave you with.
Yeah, you know, please.
Oh my God. So this also happened that exact day. It was my first day on set. I didn't
That's a
realize.
hectic day.
Hectic day. I was obviously mic'd up, and when you're mic'd up, the sound person can hear you at all times.
This is like a PSA. Like
PSA.
everybody starting out on set, even if you've been on there for a while, everything that you do, and I mean like the smallest, like
They can hear it.
They can hear everything.
Fully. They can hear
Yeah.
your tummy gurgling. If
Yeah.
you go to the toilet, unplug.
oh my God, yeah, let them know. Just say it. Like,
100,
into
just
the
say-
microphone. Say it out loud. You're like, "Hey, I'm going 10-1. Please mute me.
Oh
if
my-
you can't get to your pack. Otherwise, unplug, turn it off. They will thank you for it."
Truly. And so I like get to set, and the sound person
Yep.
is the most beautiful person in the world. Like he's just absolutely gorgeous. Like, and so I go to one of the other presenters, not realizing that he can hear everything. I was like, oh my God, how hot is like insert his
sound
name.
person. Oh
the
my
literal
God.
sound person's name. And just like without realizing. And then at the end of the day, I was like, when I was giving my pack back, he was like, oh, like, because he's really, he's so sweet. He's like the sweetest person in the world. He was like, oh, like, you know, like, just to let you know, like, we can hear most. And I just was like, I ate shit. I was like, like, but anyway.
Oh, so this
put in it that
sound
day.
person not only got like one of the nicest compliments ever, but also got to hear your sex voice.
100%. He got the full works.
They really did.
Beautiful.
Lucky them,
Yeah.
right?
His name is Yossi. He's the best person in the world if you ever get to work with him.
Oh, fuck yeah, shout out
Do
to
a sex
Yossi in that
voice
case.
for Yossi.
Just like not on air though. Just quietly when you're sitting in the green room if you can.
Exactly. Give Yossi something to laugh about.
Yeah.
So-
I'll find like with going back to the director's comment as well.
Yeah.
Do you find that since like you're a comedian, people try and tell you jokes a little bit more? So
Oh
do
my
you
God,
think that the
all the
director was
time.
trying to be funny to you?
No, I think
Oh,
she was
okay.
honestly being serious.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
She was genuine, and like now I look back at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I just would have looked like I was trying too hard. Like
Did you get to watch any of the like?
I haven't, and I never want to. I never want
Well, if
to.
anyone's working for the ABC and has any access to that footage, please
Delete
shoot me a
the
little
B-roll
DM.
immediately.
No, just chuck it up on Instagram, tag us, DM Lou.
I will kill you.
Yeah. There's so many things like that where I'm just like, I fucking hope they've deleted everything.
Truly.
But like everything's backed up on fucking hard drives and everything like that. So I'm like, so much embarrassing shit's just
Everything's
out there.
everywhere.
I wish it was
Yeah.
like 40 years ago for not a lot of reasons, but the fact that they used to film on film and they just bin it
Burn it,
afterwards.
yeah. Yeah.
But now it's just it's fucking everywhere, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many self-tape editions for a start. I keep all mine. I don't
Me
know
and my
why. I'm a
clarinet
psychopath.
haunting me till this day.
Exactly. And that's on
Haunting me.
somebody's, whoever it is, the casting associate's hard
Yeah.
drive, and
Yeah.
then all the takes that you fuck up, or you're like,
yeah,
whoops.
yeah.
Or you're like, I don't know, your t-shirt rides up and your stomach's just like out for half a shot and stuff like
Just
that, and you're
chilling,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? So much of the stunt stuff is where you fall over and like your underwear's on. It's
Ass
just
out for the boys.
yeah, exactly,
Let's go.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I get a copy of that? But then also, please
Please delete it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
So-
eyes only. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or, give me money every time somebody watches it. I don't mind that
Yeah.
as well. But I was going to say thank you so much for
You're
coming
so
on as
welcome.
well. Where can people find you? What have you got coming up? All the usual stuff?
I am at the Lou Wall on everything, I think.
Everything?
Yeah.
You're one of those psychopaths that's still on X and Threads and all that?
Look, I've maybe done 2 tweets in my life.
Okay,
You
cool.
can follow me on Instagram and YouTube. That's the
Instagram and
place to
YouTube?
be.
Yes, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I'm like everything. I put stuff up there, and then I will have a tour show next year, and I'll probably be coming to most cities in Australia.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's not announced yet, but
Oh,
I'm not sure when this
sneak
comes
peek
out. A little
there.
sneak peek.
Yeah. That'll just
yeah.
be like promoted on your Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or
fuck
louwall.com for everything
Yeah,
else.
sick. And I've tried to remember the name of the show, and you even mentioned it earlier. WTFAQ.
Yeah, it is the worst title in history.
Yeah, I'm an idiot as well.
Or
I've had
what-
so
what the
many
fack?
minor. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had so many minor concussions. I can't even say concussions over the
To
years.
pronounce the
from
word
stunts.
concussions.
Yeah. It's such a hard word. People with brain damage. But that's on ABC iView as well. Just
That
now as
is.
well. So I
Yeah,
definitely
you can watch
suggest that.
that
Go and check out.
Anytime, yeah.
Beautiful.
You'll see my sex voice. Well, or
Oh,
lack
maybe.
thereof.
Well, DM the ABC and ask for it. That's all I'm saying. Do not DM Lou for it, though, please.
No, please.
The same as every week for ourselves as well. Won't be forgetting that pod across most of the social media platforms. There's the brain damage again. Seb Muirhead, Muirhead across. I'm just Instagram and YouTube as well. I've made 2 threads in my life. Fucking hated it. I think I deleted
I got so
Twitter.
excited the day it came, and then I was like,
Yeah, I think everyone did. And now I can't fucking get rid of it as well because it's linked to your Instagram
linked to
account.
Instagram, truly.
Yeah, and then every now and again I'll get an Instagram notification. I'm like, oh, someone's liked me. And I was like, John
Threads.
Cena has posted a new thread. And I'm like,
I don't need
sick,
this in my
but
life.
Yeah, I don't need a notification for that. And then if you did enjoy the show as well, please do rate it, review it 5 stars, write a comment. The comment can be mean or nice. It doesn't really matter as long as you rate it 5 stars. It's all good. And then I do have a little Patreon as well that's in the show notes if you can afford it, which I know it's fucking expensive.
I
for
know you
everything just
can
now.
afford it though.
All right, Lou will come after you.
know you
otherwise.
can.
Please drop a couple of bucks there if you can. But yes, thank you so much, Lou, for being in my disgusting little hotel room.
Thanks so much for
Cheers.
having me. Cheers.